Hi everyone, welcome to the PR Signal where we talk about all things communications. And I promise I am not trying to make this a channel that's all about Fender, but we have a PR crisis that is happening with Fender that is happening in real time, so we're going to keep talking about it. And today's topic is the leaked video of Fender CEO when he was talking to a bunch of dealers behind closed doors.
Foremost, Fender is not suing anybody. What we've done is to reach out thoughtfully and respectively to a handful of companies whose guitars come extremely close.
And somebody recorded it on their phone and leaked it to the internet. And if only there's the video out there that warned them about something like this possibly happening. Like, for instance, my video, which I first did. Now, one of the things I did in my first video on this whole entire thing is I said that if there is a device in the room that can potentially be recording, always pretend that it's recording. And that advice was more directed at the other companies. However, wouldn't you know it, Fender is the one who actually needed that advice. So let's go ahead. Let's start talking about this. The statements that were made were not intended to go public, at least not in the way that it ended up happening. It was meant to stay behind closed doors. The key audience, the key stakeholders in this video were the dealers and not the rest of the world. And so I do think it's important to note that before we start going into everything. However, these statements got out anyway, and so whether Fender intended them to be public or not, they are public now. And so therefore, we kind of have to treat them as being public. Let's kind of take a look at what's going on, and I think what is going on right now is a good way to look at it is the co-orientation communication model. Now, if you don't know what that is, what it basically is this is you have the issue and then you have the two different viewpoints, and then along with that you have where it breaks down to three different dimensions, which is agreement, accuracy, and congruence. For the issue, right now we have the legal action and the cease and desist letters. And then from there, it kind of branches off into the two different viewpoints of you have Fender, who is saying that they're just simply protecting their IP. And then you have the key stakeholders who are saying you're being too aggressive with this. And then from there, we break into the three domains. And so for agreement, are the two sides in agreement on what's happening? In which case, obviously, we have no. You have Fender, who is just simply saying that they're trying to protect their IP, and the audience says, no, we think you're going about this the wrong way. For accuracy, now what this means is, do each side see the other side accurately? In which case, for this, you have Fender saying, no, you all are not seeing it accurately, and you have people saying, the key stakeholders who are going, no, we're not buying that. And here's the thing. Everyone always thinks they're the hero in their own stories. So is one side accurately assessing what the other side is thinking? I would say no. And it's one of those things where everyone's going to think that they're right. And then for the third domain, we have, does an organization's internal perception match its actual public messaging? And here, no, we do not have congruence happening as well, because you have what's being put out, and then you have the audience going, this doesn't line up. And we're going to start getting into that here with what I feel are three things that need to be talked about or need to be addressed when it comes to this whole situation. And so the first thing I think is this: it's inconsistent messaging. In the video, Bud is, and I'm trying to remember that this was all intended to be for the dealer key audience, not the worldwide key audience. And so for Fender and for their CEO, Bud, he was talking to dealers, but he was saying things like the whole entire thing is being handled respectfully. Those letters clearly are not written in a very respectful way. They are written in a very aggressive, very accusatory way. Those letters were also written in a way that does not really show that they're willing to work with people. Even though Bud, when he was talking to the dealers, was saying that he was. This, again, conflicts with the whole entire thing of congruence. For their messaging, they're also saying, Bud was saying, we're not asking anyone to destroy their inventory or anything like that. But here's the thing, the cease and desist letters very much say that they actually are. Now, was Bud talking to the dealer saying, we're not asking you to destroy any of your inventory that you already have. That we don't know. Or if he was just simply saying about manufacturers. He wasn't clear about that. But again, he was talking directly to dealers, not to the worldwide audience. These were statements that were not intended to go public in the way that it did. So that's where right now there can be some confusion. But a lot of what Bud was saying and a lot of what people see happening do not seem to be lining up right now. And so that's where people are getting confused and people are getting even more angry and people are shooting even more flaming arrows at Fender right now. Right now, people feel like Fender's coming out and saying, oh, no, we're not suing anybody. We're not asking people to destroy their inventory. It's kind of like, right now how people feel is that when kind of like a mobster who says, no, I didn't kill somebody. No, the bullet did. Okay, technically true. However, and that's kind of how people are perceiving what Bud is saying, I think, versus what is actually happening. And along the lines of their messaging being all over the place right now, that leads to my next point, which is this. Fender does not seem genuine right now. You have PRS who's being sued. You have LSL who's being sued. You have their glowing statements over their whole entire history. You also have Bud's speech. You have all this incongruence that's happening, and so people tend to look at this and they tend to start feeling like they're being manipulated. And that's where Fender has got to be very crystal clear about everything that's happening. People come at things from two different lines of thinking. They come from a logical side of thinking. They also come from an emotional side of thinking. And so right now, Fender has been doing a really terrible job of being able to address the emotional state of how people are feeling about this. I think a lot of people are feeling like they're not actually being heard. And when you look at Fender, a lot of the statements that they put out, they are very much lacking in empathy statements. Coming out and addressing that people have emotions about this and then being able to actually address those emotions in a way that feels calm and respectful is what people kind of need. But also people want to feel like they're being heard. People want to feel like they're being understood. This is all about public relations and how you are connecting with the public. And so right now, it feels like Fender is completely missing the mark when it comes to their public. That also leads me to my third point right here is this. Fender doesn't have a spokesperson. And I didn't realize this until I saw Philip McKnight from Know Your Gear, who was talking about this situation. And he was commenting on how Bud is not a great public speaker. If you go based off of just that video right there, he is right. Bud is reading from his notes the entire, I shouldn't say the entire time, but Bud is reading from his notes a lot. And every once in a while he walks away, kind of breaks, but Bud is also using profanity as well. And then goes back and he's reading off of his notes line for line again. That can seem also very disingenuous. But through all this, I kind of ended up realizing, I was like, okay, well, who does Fender have that they can send in front of a camera to kind of smooth all this over? And what I started to realize was this. They don't have anybody. They do not have a single person that they can send in front of a camera who is good at dealing with the public. When you go to Gibson, they have Mark Agnesi. When you go to PRS, you have Paul Reed Smith himself. Fender, who do they have? Nobody. Fender has absolutely nobody who understands the public. Now, they have a rotating list of executives that they can send in front of a camera, but here's the thing. Those executives are probably really good at what they do, whether sales or logistics or things like that. But when it comes to actually going in front, dealing with people, understanding the logical side of people, the emotional side of people, and how to address those things, they are not always the best at that. And so Fender needs a person that they can send out there to connect with people. That's the whole entire job of a PR team, connecting the organization with the public. And Fender has that gap that is not filled by anybody. Whereas the other guitar companies, they do. While Bud is not the best speaker ever, I also saw another video of him from about a month ago where I also got to say he's not the worst. But in this situation, it helps if you have somebody who is already well adjusted to this, who you can send out there. For Fender, what do they need to do right now? I think number one, do not try to take down the video. If you do, you're going to invoke the Streisand Effect. That video is going to pop up everywhere, and then instead of dealing with this PR crisis, you're going to end up playing whack-a-mole with all the videos that are going to pop up. And then also, Fender's just simply got to do it. They got to own the mistake. They got to own how they fumbled this whole entire thing, and then also start addressing the emotional side of people a lot better than what they have been. And then they also have to understand that when it comes to anytime you're saying anything out in public, well, even if it's behind a closed door, there is no such thing as off the record. Can Fender come back from this? It's going to be a lot tougher, but there's always a silver lining in everything. They just got to start seeing some of the advantages about this, and then also start taking responsibility for the mistakes that have happened, and then actually start addressing those in a proper way. So what do you think? Can Fender still come back from this? What are your thoughts on Fender CEO Bud and his comments, or just the job that he's doing in general? So go ahead, comment below, like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next video. Take care.